Comics. Thanks for stopping back again to the channel. I definitely appreciate it. Today I want to talk about this book. It is Savage #1 by Valiant Entertainment. It came out last Wednesday, so the end of the month here, the end of November that is. We're into December now. It's a mini-series. It's a 4-part mini-series, and again, Valiant Entertainment. It is written by B. Claymore with art by Louis LaRosa and Clayton Henry. And we have art or color by Brian Reber. Okay, and that's all written down here. This particular book, this is a 1 in 10. It is a design variant. Louis LaRosa did the cover art on this. There is a 1 in 20. It's pretty rare, and then a 1 in 50 as well. That there's actually less than 350 copies. It is super rare. This was a under-ordered book with a low print run, and with that combination, not many shops are going to order enough copies to qualify for those higher ratio variants. So if you happen to find that 1 in 50, I'm going to show all of the cover art here. Definitely pick it up if you can for a reasonable price. This particular cover is pretty cool. I do like it. So I want to review this. It is called a review. However, I was really struggling to find something that was wrong with it, something that I could sort of critique. I did manage to come up with something, but definitely do want to talk about this really briefly. If you're not familiar with Valiant, you definitely should be. It's one of those top publishers. It's in the top 4 or 5 for sure. And one of the things I really like about Valiant is that their entire universe is a shared universe. You know, whether you have, whatever the characters are, they're all part of this one big cohesive story, this big universe, so it's pretty cool. They were actually founded in 1989 by Jim Shooter, and now it's led by Dinesh Shamdasani. But you know, they had some trouble. They were bought out by Acclaim, who did like Turok for N64, and then there was a group of people, Dinesh being one of them, who acquired the rights to the Valiant properties from Acclaim. Over, I think that was in 2005. It took a few years. So in 2012, Valiant had this big, massive relaunch, this glorious relaunch of all their titles, and ever since then, they've been consistently putting out quality, putting out stories with superheroes, but also things like this that are not necessarily the normal superhero trope, which I think is fantastic because it gives a bit of variety there. They have the superheroes, and then they have things like this. So they have books like Turok, of course, was a dinosaur hunter, and I did think of that when I was looking at this, to be honest with you. They have Rai, they have Exo Manowar, they have Eternal Warrior, Shadow Man, Archer and Armstrong, Ninjak. Now they have Bloodshot, which is following, you know, Bloodshot, Bloodshot Reborn. Now we're into Bloodshot USA. Faith came out last year. Divinity is another one that's really cool. And then a really, really well-reviewed book that came out, I think it was in 2015, was The Book of Death. That is a fantastic story. You should check that out as well. In 2016, Valiant was nominated for a ton of Harvey Awards, and actually it was Bloodshot Reborn that was nominated for 8. It was actually, I think, the most nominated book. So it's a great line, a great publisher. Check them out, but particularly check this book out. Head over to your shop and pick it up. So the story, the art in this, let me tell you first of all, is fantastic. It's Clayton Henry. He does the first few pages, first 7 pages, and then no, I'm sorry, LaRosa does the first 7 pages, and then Clayton Henry picks up. So here's some of the art. I'm gonna put some across the page. So basically it opens up and there's no words. So it really takes a great cohesive creative team to let the writers step back and have the art, trust that the artist knows the story well enough to be able to tell it strictly through the art. And that's exactly what happens in here. We open up with some really savage, no pun intended there, it's a battle between Savage and a dinosaur. It's really neat. He's got like a talon from a dinosaur that he uses as a weapon, and it tells the brutality of it. It's really, really savage. So it tells you not only that I'll get to it in a second, but not only is it relating to him, but it's relating to his life there on this place where there's dinosaurs. So we can see what he's capable of. We can see kind of like what he's become at that point, okay? And then it cuts rather sharply to, well, we see a little bit of some clues here as to what may be going on, and that there are some ties to the present day. It looks like because there's dinosaurs, there's this teenager with like cloth on basically, and he's looking very shaggy and rabid almost, that it may be like prehistoric story. But then you see like a lighter, you see a baby bottle, you see like a cloak, for example. So there's some ties to the modern day. We cut to a couple that's on an airplane, and that's Kevin Salvage and his wife Ronnie, which are the teenagers that we saw at the beginning's parents. There's a bit of a struggle, not a struggle, there's some drama in their relationship. So they go back and forth with that. They're talking about that. But they have, like, you know, this sort of dynamic where they can fight and then immediately be okay with each other. They really understand each other well, but there is a bit of tension there. And at that point, the baby is still very much a baby, the most innocent little baby you could possibly be. And there's a giant plane crash. They crash into the water. The baby is just there in its seat. And we don't really, the baby doesn't know what's happening. They end up, you know, surviving. The pilot doesn't. They end up washed up basically on an island. And they're like, we don't know where we are. Our cell phones don't work. We gotta make sure we're okay, get some supplies from the plane, and sort of set up a camp, and then we can explore. And then he's like, well, maybe there's a hotel on the other side of the island that, you know, we can go, you know, get some things from. And he's like, even still, even if there is a Marriott or whatever he says over there, he doesn't want, a Hilton, he doesn't want his bottles of liquor to sink to the bottom of the ocean. He does apparently have a drinking problem that his wife Ronnie is not very happy with. So basically the rest of the story talks about their discovery of the island and setting up their camp, him kind of going back to his soccer roots to kind of maintain a little bit of normalcy with his current situation. After she hides all his liquor, he goes out, he's got to go sort of explore the island, get their bearings, see if he can find what else is on the island. And he does, actually. He finds a ship, and there's some horrific scene in there. The way he reacts to it is dead bodies on a ship that washed up. There's dead bodies. You can tell he's about to vomit. You can see from his reaction that it smells, and it's just repulsive, like in all of his senses, and he just needs to get out of there. And we finally, when he leaves, have a tie to the beginning of the story. So it's all starting to slowly come together here. The story, the art are both top-notch in this. I'm curious how, because Valiant is so much of a shared universe, I'm curious how this actually ties into the rest of their universe, how it relates to what's going on elsewhere in their stories and their titles. So I said I wanted to find a critique, and my critique for this, if you can call it that, is that it is only a mini-series. It's a 4-parter. I don't know how they're gonna tell this whole story in 4 parts. I feel like this world that they built on this island with this boy could be an ongoing very easily. I don't know if they're gonna do a series of mini-series, you know, like Savage 2, Savage 3, Savage 4, because they've done that with some of their other books as well. But I feel like this story and the setup and the world they've built really warrants more than 4 issues. So we'll see what happens with that. But quite honestly, that was like the worst thing I could come up with this. I thought it was fantastic. I'm really curious to see where it goes. I'm absolutely picking up the entire series, and I recommend that you do too. If you've read this, I'm really curious your thoughts. Leave some down below. You know, definitely respond to those and see what you guys think. Did you get any of the cool covers? Well, they're all cool covers, but did you get any of the ratios? This was the last one that my shop had, so I definitely was able to snag it. I'm happy I did. But If it's your first time stopping by, if you like reviews, if you like hauls, if you like live shows, interviews, conventions, I'm going to one next week, feel free to hit the subscribe button. Stick around, check out the upcoming content, my previous content. I'd be really happy to have you here as part of the JLS Comics family. And then don't forget, on Tuesdays is the live show, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, on this channel, of course, with my panel of friends and experts. We got a bunch of people on there regularly every week, and I enjoy having them, so I'm looking forward to next week as well. And I will probably bring this book up again because I really, really enjoyed it, and I hope when you pick it up that you do too. This is Jesse here, JLS Comics. It's been another comic book review, and I'll see you next video.